Good evening, every person I've ever met in my entire life. How you doing? Um, First and foremost, I just want to thank each of you not only for being a part of this perfect night, but for being a part of Deandra and or Jonathan's lives. Obviously, for you to make the cut here tonight, you're important to them, which makes you important to me too. So, um, I don't think I necessarily need to introduce myself because probably more than half this room has mistook me for being Deandra at some point in time. That was probably like 8 months, 40 pounds ago, but whatever. Um, But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Bree, better known as Little D, Deandra's sister, the other one of those twin bartenders, the much better looking one, and so on. See, I started writing this speech months, even years ago, to be honest with you. And every time I kept getting writer's block, and I realized that's because I was overthinking it like I do everything else in my life. And I realized that I don't need to stand up here and sing or dance. I'm probably doing you a favor, to be honest. Or anything else like that. I don't need to tell you childhood memories because, honestly, you'll probably just find me in the dirt somewhere at one of her 18,000 softball games, or creeping next to her closed door on her phone conversations. That is until 9 when time was up, Dad, right? And the phone had to go in the hallway. So I figured I would just tell you guys the truth. Growing up, there was a point in my life where I wanted to be so much like my sister that I didn't necessarily know how to be my own person. And then, hold up, I gotta flip. And then one day, the best day of my life to be exact, Dee reached back and she grabbed me out of the shadow of hers that I'd been choosing to live in for most of my life. And from that day on, I don't cry, it's because of the baby. From that day on, we stood next to each other, and that's pretty much how it always was. All right, I lost. One sec. Yeah, that's pretty much how it always was. Sis and I against the world, and we pretty much became the dynamic duo in all aspects of life, from roommates to the best sidekicks behind the bar, hands down ever. You name it, we did it together, and in my head, that's how it would always be. That is, until a ray of, we'll call him Sunshine, and his perfect child come into our lives out of nowhere, and I knew I was in trouble. See, this Sunshine kid, aka Jonathan, wasn't exactly a stranger in Deandra's world. Rewind about 10 years ago, Jonathan Ziznar just moved here from Chicago. It's his first day at Cardinal Mooney, and he's miserably standing at his locker like most of us would at 7:30 in the morning. And this cute, way too bubbly girl walks up to his locker and says, "Hi, I'm Deandra Tobacco, and welcome to Cardinal Mooney. What's your name?" So, he's standing there dumbfounded. As she walks away thinking, why the hell was that girl so happy? Doesn't she know that we're at school? So she apparently stuck with him after that and him with her. So much, in fact, that this is really going to end eventually. So much, in fact, that neither one of them enjoyed running. But a few times a week in high school, they would meet up at the 3-mile run in Mill Creek Park, and they would run together as the most ridiculous excuse to hang out with a person I've ever heard in my entire life. And actually, side note, I'm just going to add this in real quick. When Jonathan initially told me he was going to propose to my sister, he said he was going to bring her back to the 3-mile run, but apparently she got wiser, she got older, and he couldn't get her to go running, so he needed a new plan. That's also where and why they took their engagement pictures at the 3-mile run. Okay. This is the same guy that she would sneak on the phone with even after 9. Sorry, dude, Dad. The guy she had to get the perfect dress for because they were homecoming dates, and at that dance, in the picture they took together, he purposely picked you up the same way that your husband picks up your wife when you're walking into the room the night of your honeymoon. I don't know if you knew that or not, but That was the plan all along. Fast forward to college years. We won't go too far into that. But this is the same guy who gave her those awful green and yellow pajama pants that she never took off until someone apparently stole them. She also went 0 for 4 in softball against Waynesburg and got pulled from the game for the one and only time in her life because she decided to pull an all-nighter and sneak off to Lake Erie the same night before to go see him. Oh, that was a different time. Anyway, all of a sudden, here he was again. And this is years later, and now I'm finding myself spending way less time with Sis because of it, and I was just not happy about this. The only problem was I really couldn't blame her because the kid was pretty awesome. He actually reminded me of somebody. He reminded me of me, so what was I supposed to do? All right, we're getting there. All right. For the longest time, I saw their relationship as a threat because it felt like I was losing my sister. And then I realized how selfish I was being. Jonathan and Mason make her happier than I've ever seen her in my life. And I'm sure you have all seen the way the three of them are together. I mean, you just did when they danced. Mason has been a son to Dee long before you guys said I do today. And Jonathan, you've been a brother to me long before today, too. Sorry. God's timing was perfect for the two of them 10 years later, and you finally did it. I can't wait to see what the next chapters in your lives hold. I just know that I'm one lucky girl to have the two of you as my siblings, and my baby, Grayson, is one lucky baby to have you guys as his godparents. Dee will always be my right hand. I guess I could just share her left. So let's raise this glass that I can't drink to Mr. and Mrs. Jonathan Zisnar.